So you must understand that what God wants you to know is that He is with you all the time. All the time. He has been with you all your lives. And it doesn't mean that for those of you that are believers that you've always lived right and done the right things. But I want you to know that there's nobody on the face of this planet that has a right to judge you, nor is there anybody walking this planet that is qualified to judge you. Because in order for somebody to judge you all, that means they must be walking in a state of perfection themselves. And nobody on this earth is perfect. There's only been one man that has walked this earth, and that is Jesus Christ. Nobody else is perfect. I don't care if you're the type of person that you got married at an early age and you've never cheated on your spouse and you've never slept with other people and you've done something. You've done something that has made you or disqualified you from pointing the finger at anybody in your own strength, anybody in your own authority. Anybody at all, because all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So don't let anybody out there deceive you. And then for those of you out there, if you're the type of person you never slept around, doesn't mean you're perfect, but you never slept around. You were not a whore. You didn't run the streets. You didn't drink. You didn't do drugs. You didn't do any of that stuff. I want you to know that there are people out there that don't like you because you didn't do it. There are people out there that can't stand you because you didn't do it, but they did do it. And so now, let's just say if you committed a crime. I don't know what the crime could be, but let's say you committed a crime. Don't you know that the people that are jealous of you because you have not lived the rough lives that they've lived, they will meditate on that one crime to try to hold that against you? When they have a multitude of filth and sins in their own lives, but they want to hold that one crime or whatever you did, maybe you robbed a store or I don't know, against you, because they feel like, okay, well finally, that's the one thing that I can say, oh, they didn't do that right, that won't godly, that won't that. Don't you know somebody like that is sick? Don't you know somebody like that is filthy? Don't you know somebody like that is jealous of your life? Because though we all be sinners, you want the sinner that they were. You want the sinner that they were. You weren't doing what they were doing. That's the type of world that we live in. We live in a world of sick people. And you know, I feel like, I don't know about you all, but that's where my boldness and my confidence comes from, is that I am who I am unapologetically. Because regardless of any people that I've ever interacted with in my life, none of them really knew me. And I don't know about you all, you know, but that's what I know about myself. So that's the reason why when I decided that I wanted to publicly begin doing things for Father, I went on and did it. Unapologetically, and nobody was going to shut my mouth. Not a hater, not an enemy, not a racist, and nothing else from the toxic community that was around me. Nobody's going to shut my mouth. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, because regardless of what somebody's perception of me may have been, nobody really knew me, because I've always been antisocial. And it doesn't mean that I didn't associate with people, but I showed them the side of me that I didn't mind them seeing. But as for the real me, they never really got to see her. It wasn't that I was being fake or whatever, but you know, we all have areas in our lives that other people don't get to see. We all have areas of our lives that only the social life gets to see. Hey, how you doing? What's up? What's popping? We hanging out. But they don't know what's going on in your home lives. They don't know who you are. They don't know your talents. They don't know your abilities. They don't know your upbringings. The only thing they know is what they hope it is, what they wish it is, what they want it to be, and what it may not be. And oftentimes what they hope it is, wish it is, and want it to be is something negative when it is not. There are those of you out there that for years, you know, if you've been dating or if you're married, you've been married to your enemy for years. You've been dating your enemy for years, or you thought you were dating your enemy. And by that I mean, let me tell you something. Some of these relationships are only in your mind. Excuse me for a moment. Because there are a lot of people that thought they were involved with people that they really were not involved with. Those people were stringing you along because you were their security blanket. You were somebody that they could come to if they needed to borrow some money. You were somebody they could come to if they needed to be bailed out of jail. They wanted to have somebody that they could grasp out there if they needed help. And because they were around you, you had seen them in a certain manner that they were not in your lives. So for you ladies, you may have thought that was your man, but he wasn't. For you fellas, you may have thought that was your woman, but she wasn't. They were just around you playing a role and creating illusions because they thought they were going to need you for something throughout their lives. And oftentimes with those types of people, as soon as they feel like they have gotten on, or they feel like they've gotten with somebody else that they can build with, they will throw you under the bus. And you know why they throw you under the bus? It's because now they feel that they are secure. And what they fail to realize is that the joke is on them because it is a false sense of security. And God will stand there and he will let them go right on and hang themselves, figuratively speaking. He will let them go right on and fall into the ditch. And I believe that probably mostly all of us have had people that only clung to us and was around us and interacted with us because they needed something from us. So they would string you along because, well, they might need to borrow some money, or they may need you to run them to the store, or they may get in some trouble and need you to go in your pocketbook and bail them out. While they stand there and pretend to be your friend, pretend to be your homegirl, pretend to be your homeboy, pretend to be your man. Even if they were your spouse, they pretended that they were a rightful spouse. When they were not. You were their finance. You were their security blanket, their safety net, and nothing more. That's called game. But how many of you know that for those types of people, it is always going to be a day when there's game over? When the user gets used, when the abuser gets abused. Because when somebody is utilizing you all for money, that is abuse. You may not see it as abuse because oftentimes when people think of abuse, they think of a fist going to somebody's head, a fist going to somebody's face. But when you mislead people, that is abuse. You are doing something offensive. You are doing something that is against that person. That is abuse. And it is wrong, and you will reap what you sow. There are some of you out there, you grew up in a whole community of narcissists. People who thought that they had a right to tell other people how to live their lives. And not only will they try to tell you how to live your lives, they'll try to tell you how to raise your children too. And they'll try to tell you who to marry, and they'll try to tell you who you should and should not date, when who they married and who they dated is a hot mess and everybody knows it. How in the world are you going to tell somebody how to manage their lives when you can't even manage your own? But then you want to get on the telephone and try to manage somebody else's, and like you got it going on, like you have it all together. You know what? A lot of you, those are the types of people that are in your communities. Those are the type of people that are in the world. Live every kind of way they knew to live. Every kind of way they knew to live. There are a lot of you out there, you know, a lot of you were born homebodies. So when you were at home, other people were out there whoring in the streets. And then when they got too old to whore in the streets, or they got sick or whatever and couldn't whore in the streets, or they had children and they stopped whoring in the streets, now they want to sit in their homes and watch you all. Well, what's going on in their lives now? Who they with? Who they married to? How many children they got? Where they work at? What they got going on in their lives? Yeah, that type. No lives. You are their lives. Group of narcissists. There are those of you out there, you may want to start a ministry, but you won't do it because you're intimidated by people who have made you feel unqualified. If God has laid it upon your heart to do something for him, how is it their business? Whatever you want to do for the Lord, do it. You don't need nobody's permission but the Lord. Are you doing it for them or him? I can remember when I wanted to do things for the Lord, I went on and did it. I didn't realize that it was gaining as much of attention as it was doing. Because I really didn't think anybody was paying it any mind, to be honest. I can remember just, being with Father and just thinking, nobody paying this no mind. I didn't say it like that, but, then kind of found out there was a whole community out there that was being affected by the work that I was doing for the Lord that was absolutely none of their business. I can remember people I don't know what to make of certain looks and things I was getting from certain people, because I really don't care, because I don't need anybody's permission to do anything, and especially for the Lord. But just certain looks. But what people fail to realize is that I don't care about that, because I'm going to do what I want to do. As long as I'm not breaking the law of the land, I'm going to do what I want to do. And it is what it is, and it's straight like that. And, I just wanted to encourage somebody out there, whatever you want to do in life, as long as you are abiding by the laws of the land, do it. But by all means, do you. You know what I'm saying? You don't live your lives for other people. You live your lives for the Lord and for yourselves. And you embrace the people that embrace you. You accept the people that accept you. You befriend the people that befriend you. And I want you all to know that the environments that a lot of you came up in, you didn't come up in those environments and neighborhoods and situationships for no reason. Now, for some reason, I don't want to say I was birthed into an area that was hostile, but I grew up in an area surrounded by adversaries. I grew up in an area where I was surrounded by adversaries. So I want you to know that there's nothing by accident and nothing by chance, because God is shaping you and He's forming you and He's conditioning you. That by all means, you are to do you. You've got people and opposers standing around you, but what they think of you is none of your business, and it does not make it so. And how they feel about you is none of your business, and that does not make it so. You have to do you unapologetically. You have to be you unapologetically. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because when God created you, He broke the mold. He created you to be you, not you to be them, not you for them. But He's going to use them in order for you to be shaped and formed. And that is a process of self-discovery. Because when you know who you are, you know who you are not. When you know where you belong, you know where you don't belong. When you know what you will accept, you know what you won't accept. And what I will never accept is the community that I came up in. Because I did not like them any more than they liked me. And it's straight like that, from womb to tomb. It does not make any difference with me. Because I feel like when you know who you are, you don't worry about the masses. You don't worry about what's going on around you. I know who the people are that I loved and cared about. And it ain't none of them. So that boils down to being true to yourselves. How many of you out there are true to yourselves? You're true to yourselves. Most people are not true to themselves. Most people follow the crowd, but they don't want to be the leader. Because see, in being a leader, that comes with responsibility. That comes with discipline. That comes with knowing yourself. And a lot of people don't want to be disciplined. A lot of people don't know themselves. A lot of people would rather be led rather than be the leader. Because it's easier to be led. But I'm here to tell you, when the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch now. So you better follow God and lead yourselves. And some of us are just natural born leaders. And see, that's what a lot of my adversaries didn't know. I am a natural born leader. I've always known that I was a natural born leader. I don't have to go around proclaiming it, but I've always been a natural born leader, even from a child. Anytime there was any event, any type of sports, especially in my neighborhood, I was always the leader. And I would be like, who want to be on my team? And the majority would always say, oh, me. I've always had the spirit of a leader all my life. I've always had the spirit of a teacher all my life. I was teaching when I was a child. So, see, that's the reason why when I hear the lies that my enemies say about me, they can shut up because they don't know me. And I don't have a problem letting anybody know who I am. I'm not going to disclose anything that's personal about me, but I don't mind shedding a little light enough light on me for people to see the real me versus the lies that my adversaries have put out on me, that Father and I have torn down and will keep down. See, one thing a leader does, that they take authority. Another thing, they take power. That's taking authority, and that's taking power. Nobody can take my power. I didn't just become who I am overnight as far as speaking and teaching. I've been doing this all my life. But see, people didn't know that because people don't know me. But I've been teaching all my life. Something. Some subject. I've always been in a teaching mentality. A leader mentality. All my life, ever since childhood. That's one of the reasons why I could never follow anybody. I don't follow no leader. I am the leader. And even I remember when I was hanging up under a group of girls who didn't like me, I eventually was like, no, I'm not hanging up under them. Number one, they don't even like me. Number two, I don't follow nobody. It was just something in me. I'm like, I just can't follow you. I don't care who you think you are. I'm not going to follow you. And it is what it is. Straight like that. You know, there's nothing like knowing who you are. And there's nothing like coming out with the truth. And I will just say this. The area that I came up in, number one, I want to say it was extremely racist. Extremely racist. I can remember being in high school when there was a lot of racism and there was a lot of racist talk. And, just this group didn't like that group because of the color of their skin and this and that and the third. And for many of them, I can understand why they were not liked. I'm not saying it necessarily had anything to do with the color of their skin, why I could understand why they were not liked, but it was more so regarding the content of their character. Because I didn't even like the people that I went to high school with, and there were certain ones I didn't have any problems with, so of course I'm not speaking on them, but for the majority, I just couldn't stand them, and they didn't like me either, okay? And I don't care about that. Because like I said, as a leader, I've never had the mentality, oh, I want you to like me. Now, as a child, you may wonder why there's so much opposition, like why is there so much opposition? But then look at look at the opposing force, look at what it is. And then as you grow into maturity and God increases your wisdom, you realize, oh, I see why you don't like me. I see why something like you don't like me. And see, that's the mentality, my brothers and my sisters, that you have to have. Don't look at it as, oh, well, like these, I put it like this. When you notice strange behavior, and you don't quite understand it, and then later on in life you realize, oh, you weren't supposed to fit in with that. You were not supposed to be a part of that. Look at that. Do you really want any dealings with those types of people? And then when people realize you don't want anything to do with them, they look at it as you think you're better than them. But what they fail to realize is that what I think about myself is none of your business. And if you were attentive to yourself, you wouldn't be worried about what I think of myself. And I want you all out there to know you should always love yourselves. And you should always feel like you are the best. I'm not saying feel like that God created you in the flesh better than he did another human being, but I'm talking about as far as your characters are concerned. We know that there are people out there that have excellent characters, and we know there are people out there that are in the opposite, the scum of the earth. We know there are different classes of people out there, and it has absolutely nothing to do with money, because first thing, for one thing, as it pertains to money, money is something that anybody can obtain. Anybody can lay their hand on a dollar bill, but it's not going to change their character. Anybody can drive a nice car. It's not going to change their character. Anybody can live in a big, nice house. It's not going to change their character. Trash is trash, rich or poor. I don't care who it is. You are who your character says that you are, and a dollar bill is not going to make any difference in your substance. If you're trash, be the trash. If you treasure, be the treasure. And it is what it is, straight like that. And see, that's the reason why for those of you out there that if you allow people to play mind games with you, don't let people play mind games with you. Because, I will say I believe I speak on behalf of the majority of the working class out there. Most working class people, and I mean people with what they call regular jobs, but there's nothing regular about you. Most people, your employer is not going to pay you $10,000 a week to ring up groceries. $10,000 a week to go straighten up a dress hanging on a rack. $10,000 a week to package pharmaceuticals or something like that. I'm just throwing that out there. $10,000 a week to take care of somebody's child at a daycare center. No, they're not going to pay you that kind of money because they don't feel like you're worth that kind of money. Because people are only interested in investing in something that can give them a bigger return than what they feel they invested in you. So that's why in the cosmetic industry, they'll pay you all that money to be their spokesperson. Because they feel like their return will be a bigger investment than what they invested in you. The millions of dollars that they invested in you, well, they know they will make more millions off of you and your image and your name and your brand because you don't mean nothing to them. They're only using you as a product, as an object. You are a marketing strategy for them. So really, I believe that's the real reason why there's such a big difference in the pay scale. Because people are only going to invest in you what they feel they can get out of you. And if they don't feel like they're going to gain that much out of you, they feel like, well, you're replaceable, then they feel like, well, here, let me go on and pay you $2 an hour because I know it's probably 1,000 other people out there that if you don't want this $2, somebody else will take it. But if it's somebody that can bring in the revenue of millions and millions of dollars and they know that that person is like a hot commodity, they may not have that attitude towards that person. So they'll be more of a people pleaser, a butt kisser, and all of that. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just the type of world that we live in. So that's the reason why a lot of people, they go towards the type of industries that they go towards because there's a certain level of income that they want to make. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that the pay scale in this world is still not fair and it's still not just. And no, it's still not right that we have people living outside on the streets. And no, it's still not right that we have homeless shelters and people living in homeless shelters. So I'm going all across the board with this conference. I didn't even know I was going this direction. You see how I start off one direction and I end up going another. So if it's something that I feel like is laid on my heart to say, I have to say it. And even with that, and I want to touch upon that briefly, with the ladies today, those and the fellas, those of you that are in homeless shelters, let me tell you all this. First of all, do not allow society to stereotype you. Because there are those in society that are one paycheck from sitting right there beside you. One paycheck, two paycheck, 3, 4, maybe 5. But I tell you what, let them get up tomorrow, go to work, and their employer tells them, oh, we just terminated your position. And guess who's going to come knocking at your doors if they don't find another occupation soon. So that's the reason why I said, you know what, we came into this world with nothing, and of a truth we will leave here with nothing. Naked you came into the world, naked you're going to leave out. That's the reason why I cannot stand people who think they are so much because they have money. And I'm talking about only the ones who have that mentality, because not everybody with money treats money like a god. It's just a resource. It's not their god. See, people like that have a mind of intelligence and wisdom. They know that the purpose of God blessing them with revenue is for them to be a blessing, not only for themselves and the people that they love, but to be a blessing to somebody else that is less fortunate. But then you've got the ones that want to make a God out of a man-made item. Something that humanity made them feel like they were above humanity. Come on now. Money is man-made. It is a man-made system. A lot of people don't even know money is a system. It's a system. It's trickery. It's a mind. I can't say what came to mind. It's a mind game. Money is a mind game for the purchase of goods that are not worth the price tag that people are putting on them. And I'm just going to tell it like it is, and I don't care who don't like what I got to say. Whatever you walk in a store, always remember, no matter what it is, no matter what it costs, whenever you walk in a store to make a purchase, the price of the item or whatever it is you want to purchase, I don't care if it's jewelry, I don't care if it's clothing, food, or whatever. It is something that somebody else thought up and said, this is worth this, that is worth that. But that does not mean that that's the actual value. But to somebody who thinks like a fool, they'll say, oh, this shirt is $1,700. And if I buy this, I'm something. And they will go buy a daggone rag with somebody else's name on it, when the name above every name is Jesus Christ, but because somebody else's name is on it, who may be famous and got some type of social status, now they feel like, well, I'm on the same level as the designer, and ain't got but $2 in their pocket, but got on a $1,700 shirt. You know what, let me tell you something. Somebody like that is a fool, if you ask me. That's a dummy. That is somebody with low self-esteem that needs to go somewhere, find Jesus Christ so that they can discover who they are. Or so that he can mold them into somebody that has some common sense. It's a mind game. Everything as it pertains to this world is a mind game. Relationships, everything, marriage, everything is a mind game. This world wants to sell you a dream, but the dream is false. The dream is fiction. The dream has breaks and cracks in it. The dream ain't never the real thing. Because of original sin, ain't nothing gonna be what it ought to be. Nothing is what it seems. Let's go another direction. Let's take it to marriage. Marriage is not what it seems. This world will paint marriage as like a fairy tale to you all. Well, because when people get married, that's how they view it. The man thinks that he's Prince Charming. The woman thinks that she's a princess. And that's fine. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But after the honeymoon, you may as well go purchase you a pair of boxing gloves because... No, I'm not saying. I'm not telling anybody out there to be violent or go purchase no boxing gloves, literally. I'm just saying. What I'm trying to say is that the real world steps in then. The real world. When the honeymoon is over, well, now there's the reality. Boredom for many, depression, regret, resentment for a lot of people, knowing they married the wrong person, and they're stuck for life. And you know, I think that's why a lot of people that are married, they would probably rather be at work than be in the home with one another. I think that's why a lot of people are workaholics, because they can't stand their spouses. They cannot stand even the very energy that is in that home. So like I said, the world will sell you a pipe dream. This life will sell you a pipe dream. You know why? But a lot of people, I gotta tell you, a lot of people, I feel like they steal their own fates, because one thing I would say about those of you that out there that are thinking about choosing spouses, you have to choose according to the spirit. Okay? Because, you know, I look at it this way. I think that when people are very young, they have the mentality, oh, I like this type of girl, but they like that type of girl, they like that type of guy, this and that. That's teenage stuff. And I'm not saying as an adult you can't feel the same way, but there must be an addition. So meaning, yeah, I like that type of person, but they must have this attribute, this quality, that quality, da-da-da-da-da-da, as it pertains to their character, how they conduct themselves. Do they respect other people? Do they respect themselves? That will show you whether or not they will respect you. Do they talk about other people? Well, they will talk about you. Do they gossip about other people? They will gossip about you. Do they tell other people what they think is other people's business? Well, guess what? When you cross them, they're going to tell yours. Or they ain't going to tell it. They're going to make up a lie and try to make it seem like it is your business when it may not be. A lot of people don't even realize until they walk down the aisle that they walk down the aisle with the snake, with the serpent, with the adder. This world will sell you a pipe dream. There's so many things in this world that can come up against you all to be formed as weapons. Communities, enemies, seen and unseen. There's so many weapons formed. It's almost like sometimes when you really step into the knowledge of knowing, it's like, is everything somewhat of a weapon almost? Even with the foods that we eat, the ingredients in the food can give you high blood pressure and cholesterol and all that stuff like that. What can't be formed as a weapon in this world? Is a weapon just a matter of perspective, or is it just reality? So that's the reason why you have to be sober, you have to be vigilant, and you have to know the devices of the devil, that anything that Satan can utilize in this world to form against you, he will, even communities. But even, like, I don't know about you all, but for me, I feel like if he's going to use a community to be formed as a weapon against me, why don't you try to find a group of folk that I actually even like? Why don't you try to find a group of folk that I even actually know, and try to find people that would know me? So, Satan was bringing people up against me that don't even know me. They don't know me, and they don't know me like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't back down to nobody. And I tell all of them to the face. It don't make me no difference. I will be the David standing before Goliath if I have to be. Matter of fact, I have been. And many of you out there have been as well. This world will feed you. It will feed you its junk food. So you have to hold on to the Almighty God. And I know this conference is going kind of in different directions and on different topics, and that's fine. I just go where I feel I'm led. So it's no specific, direction I want this conference to go. I just feel like I had something to say, and I wanted to say it, and hey, I'm going to say it. Because somebody out there may need to hear it. There are those of you out there, you might be having issues with people in your bloodlines. I don't know. I want you to know that if you're having issues with people in your bloodlines, it's not the end of the world. Who are they to you? Did they have anything to do with you getting here? No. They were introductions once you got here. There's nobody in your lives that you can't remove from your lives. And then there's nobody in your lives that can't remove themselves. Everybody has a right to decide who they do or don't want in their lives. And everybody has a right to decide if they want to remove themselves out of somebody's life. And if they want to remove themselves out of your life, let them go. And if you want to remove somebody from your life, send them on their way. That's the one thing that we all have in this world, is free will and our prerogative. And that's nothing for you all to feel in this type of way about. But that just means that the attention that you have is to be focused upon yourselves. Because naked you came into this world, and naked you will go out. And at the end of the day, you better know Jesus. At the end of the day, you better know Jesus. You better know that man that walked around in Galilee. Because if you don't, your life will have been led in vain. Led in vain, lived in vain. If you don't know Jesus, what's your purpose? To live, die, and burn in the lake of fire? He came so you wouldn't have to burn in the lake of fire. That's why he came. He didn't come to make you rich, though he came to give you life more abundantly. He didn't come to make you famous, though he came to give you life more abundantly. He came to save you from your sins. He came to save me from my sins. And once he has saved you from your sins, you are secure for all eternity. Because whom the Son is free indeed. And it's straight like that. And I wanted to turn it another direction. I know I'm kind of going around the board here, so I guess it's just meant to be today. For these ladies that are, and these gentlemen that are in these shelters, let me tell you something. Number one, let me tell you what a shelter is. A shelter is a holding chamber for people that the world treats like cattle. These shelters out there, though they may provide services, for a lot of you, there is no real help that they can provide. They can, but they're not structured that way. You understand? They're not structured that way. There are those of you out there, you feel trapped in your situations. I want you to continue to fight. I want you to get up every day and you wash your faces, you take your showers, you do your hair, you put on your clothes, and you continue to live and do you. And continue to consult in God to make a way for you. You know why? Because naked you came into this world, and naked you will go out. Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man didn't have anywhere to lay his head. You understand what I'm saying? This world is not built for your success. This world was structured to hold you down. It was structured for your failure. See, this world does not want you to be successful, even though that's what it preaches all the time. And by preaches, I mean like these different like advertisements. You know, be this and be that. Yeah, because there's something in it for them. But they don't genuinely care about you. You got to scratch and survive and maintain in this world yourself by the power that God has invested in you to have the strength to deal with the oppositional forces that are running rampant in this world. This world is not for you. This world is against you. This world is not applauding you. The world will try to debase you. It is God that uplifts you. It is God that uplifts your name. It is God that has your back. God Almighty is the one that is all of that. Anytime you win, it is because Jesus Christ stepped in. This world is at enmity with God. So this world is at enmity with you all. God is not friends with the world. So why are you? And by the world, I mean collectively the forces that stand in opposition with God. Oppositional forces that hate God. Hate the commandments. Hate the way of life that he has told us to live. Even though many of us don't want to live it, let's just keep it real. Why? Well, because we're in these flesh bodies, and flesh wants sin. Let's just keep it real. That's any of us. But we have to deny our flesh and walk in the spirit, so that we don't succumb to the cares of the flesh, so that we don't submit ourselves to our flesh. Don't ever submit yourselves to the flesh, even though we all will. Of course, we will. How do we know we will? I tell you what, let that wrong enemy push your button the wrong way. Hit you on that wrong day. And if you think you won't cuss them out, let's just keep it real, my brothers and my sisters. Nobody is exempt. Nobody. There's nobody on the earth that cannot be touched with sin. All of us can be touched with sin. And if the wrong person hears what comes out of your mouth, if the wrong person sees you coming out of Hotel 8, when they know, fellas, that you're married, then hey, that's just something you're going to have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So just check yourself before you wreck yourself. I don't know who that was for, but it might be somebody out there. You know you're not supposed to be in a hotel with that woman. I don't know who that's for, but hey, it's to help you, not hinder you. Okay? But don't let the devil set you up. Don't let the devil set you up, because a lot of these Jezebels, all of these Jezebels, were sent, if you ask me, from hell. They were sent to hinder you, not help you. They were sent to harm you, deceive you, mislead you, to lure you, entice you, and then sift you as wheat. Don't let a whore mess up your marriages. Don't let a whore mess up your relationships. Don't let a whore mess up your friendships. Don't let a whore mess up your situationships. A whore has no value, and she has no purpose other than to try to destroy somebody else's life, somebody else's union, somebody else's marriage, somebody else's this, that, and the third, whatever your respective cases may be. It is something that is utilized by Satan to destroy you. You may feel like it is a benefit in the beginning, but at the end of the day, it will be your head on a platter, because you will be like the sheep led to the slaughter. By the time she gets through with you, you'll want to be dead. A lot of you'll want to be dead. So enter not into the path of the wicked. Go the other way. avoid temptation. Temptation is going to come, but you have to avoid it. If you know you're weak in your flesh, go get with God so that you can get strengthened in the spirit, so that your spirit can rule over your flesh by the power of Jesus Christ. It's as simple as that. A lot of people fall because they don't take the initiative to be strong. They lazy. They don't feel like doing this, that, and the third. They don't feel like reading the Word of God. They don't feel like it. They just don't feel like it. It's just easier to give in to temptation. Well, I tell you what. Since it's easier to give in to temptation, then when the consequences fall on your head like hot coals, don't come crying to nobody. Don't come crying to nobody once God Almighty himself has stood in your face and warned you time and time again. And you don't listen, and then you fall. You have nobody to blame but yourself then. And we've all been in a situation where Father was like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. But then the day has to come when you walk into the brick wall and you go, ouch, wait a minute. And then the next thing you know, you got a big old knot in your forehead. You go look in the mirror and, you really got a big one there. You know, I'm just using that as a figure of speech. So you have to, sometimes it's just best to just go on and buckle down, humble yourself, humble yourself before the Lord. And don't create trouble in your life. Avoid trouble. Don't create problems in your life. Don't enter into the path of the wicked. If you know you've got a group of friends or a group of acquaintances and they're always doing dumb things, and you hanging with these group of friends and they're always cheating on their wives and cheating on their girlfriends, and you know you are a loyal man, you don't need to be around them. They're going to influence you. And one day you might fall. And you just might lose a good thing that you can never get back. Because let me tell you something. And then I'm going to close this conference out. And I know I've gone all across the board, brothers and sisters in this conference. Just take whatever you need and apply it to your life if it's something that can help you. And if not, hey, you know, it is what it is. Let me tell you something. Like I said, this world will sell you a pipe dream. But one thing that this world cannot give you is love. Love comes from God. Love is so rare in this world. Oh my God. What is love? Don't it sound even strange coming off your tongue? Love. Because it's so rare in this world. But let me tell you something. Love is like a diamond. It's so rare. It's so precious. You know, it can stand strong up under pressure. That means when hard times hit, love is still there. When you lose everything you've got, love is still there. And by love, I'm talking about people, a person. When you lose everything you got, love is right there. When you're sitting on the sidewalk without a dime in your pocket, love is there. When you got holes in your clothes, love is there. Holes in your shoes, love is there. When you got 2 slices of bread and a slab of butter, love is sitting there. When you're down and out, love is there talking to you, telling you it's going to be a better day. When you're depressed, love is there making you laugh, cracking corny jokes. See, love it at all times. Love never walks away. I don't care what nobody says. For you ladies out there, if your husbands have walked out on you and your children, he don't love you. For you ladies out there, if your boyfriends have walked out on you and your children, he don't love neither one of y'all. For you fellas out there, if your wives have walked out on you and your children, she don't love you. If your girlfriends, my brothers, have walked out on you, they don't love you. Because let me tell you something about love. Love is a supernatural bond. Love can't be explained. Love will make you do some foolish things. You understand? But one thing that I know that love will never do is walk out on you. Okay? And with that said, God bless you all until next time. Bye-bye. See you in the next conference.